On this episode of What's Groovin', Metal Earth releases a whole bunch of new models that look a little bit familiar. Metal Time gives us another look at their upcoming campaign with a spaceship RC model. MU releases their own version of a rubber band gun. And finally, the Moyo Store releases some Halloween-themed models, including an owl. Groovers, I'm your host, Disorderly Cone. This is the Neato-Matic. Let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with Metal Earth. Now, these models here at the Coming Soon page might look a little bit familiar, and that's because these models have been released before in a simpler fashion. These ones here have way more detail on them, which I think that means they're going to be a lot harder to build, but they look so much better. Let's take a closer look at this TIE Fighter here, for instance. This was known to be one of the hardest 3D metal models when it came to Star Wars builds because the cockpit was just really hard to get shaped correctly. I mean, there's all kinds of mutilated ones out there. Even mine didn't do that well. And I can say by looking at this one here, they've definitely improved the design, but I still think it'll be really hard to shape that little centerpiece. The wings have way more detail than the original one, just with its laser etching. And overall, I think this looks really great. It also appears that the stand there is just kind of sticking out, and it has a lot more reinforcement than the original one had with its really thin base. Mine actually broke off that base and kind of led to the whole thing falling apart. I don't think I have it. Oh, I do! Ha ha ha. Actually, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. My bad memory there, my friends. This is the TIE Fighter that I had here. And as you can see, it's a little wibbly wobbly, and unfortunately got a little bit of hair there. This is a little bit wibbly wobbly, and that's because the connections didn't really get that well done. Now, my ball here is pretty well shaped, but I just really don't like how these wings look. Looking at this brand new model here, though, I see that it looks way better. And of course, the detail on it also seems to be way better too. I can't wait to actually get my hands on this one and be able to directly compare it and actually see if it's going to be a similar size or if it's going to be a lot bigger. Looking at this one here, actually, I can already tell it's going to be a lot bigger because this is an Iconics build. And as we can see, there's a couple of pictures that we can take a closer look at this guy here. Yes, that back looks like it was very difficult to build, especially for the Metal Earth builder there, but these wings are way more detailed, and with this being, of course, a Iconics build, or correction, a premium series build, this will be a lot bigger than the other ones we've seen before. Now, this is 2.5 sheets, and I'm actually, again, really interested to see how this one's going to come out. And let's go back here for a moment and take a look at our dinosaurs, looking at the T-Rex here in particular. Now, with these particular builds, you might remember that Metal Earth had their skeletons released originally, and these are old models going way back. These models too were a little bit challenging, especially when it came to their ribcage areas. If you remember in my video, when I built the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I accidentally put the ribs on in the wrong place. Now, since then, I've actually given that model away. I don't have it anymore. But I'm really excited to see how this one's going to turn out. And if you also remember, the Godzilla model that we built had a similar kind of skin texture to it. I'm interested to see how Metal Earth is going to be able to take that skin texture and put it onto a dinosaur, and how that model will actually look when it's complete. If you ask me, Godzilla is just still super shiny, even though it's kind of supposed to be this lizardy, scaly look. With this one here, you can see a lot of texture goes right into the metal. I'm interested to see if that's like put right in there or if it's just part of the laser etching. The actual color itself looks really good too. You got a really nice thick tongue there, and the teeth kind of look interesting with how they are placed in as well. The legs look like they're going to be some of the most difficult pieces here, being that they are wrapped around, and anytime you have little bits of wraps like that, it always can be a little bit challenging to get everything to light up just perfectly. But you can see here that the modeler that actually built this one did a really good job. Also, it looks like the neck and tail. Oh, okay, actually I take that all back. The legs and where it's going to meet in the middle there, that's going to be hard. There's going to be massive gap areas. Like, even with this guy here, you can see that the modeler had a hard time trying to get everything just perfect. I think that probably having some extra tools around your home will make this a lot easier to do, just because you do kind of have to match everything as you go. And I won't be surprised if you're using one piece at a time to kind of form off another one to get everything looking as best as possible. Now, this model does look like it's going to be a premium series build. Let me take a look here. No, it's not going to be a premium series build. This is just going to be your average everyday build, which is pretty cool. It's still going to be 3 sheets, so a considerable amount of pieces. The size of this guy is going to be about 18.5 in length, 6 in width, and 9.6 centimeters in height. So overall, a pretty decent looking model, I think. And I'm actually, again, super excited to be able to take a look at this one and give it a build. Now, looking at the Golden Gate Bridge, again, I know I said this already a couple times, all of these models seem to have been released before, but Metal Alert's kind of breathing new air into them, and that's a great thing. This brings new people into the hobby, especially if they kind of better model what they're supposed to look like from an original. Now, this one here looks great. I love the look of the road on this particular kit. The paint looks fantastic. I don't see this one being very difficult. Let's take a look at it here. It says about moderate difficulty. And I think when we look at this model here, looking at this model, I think the most difficult thing that we're going to run into is most likely the actual bridge piece there. I think that the centerpiece might be hard to get all those little bits of detail perfectly lined up. Outside of that, though, I think this build will be pretty straightforward and it will look good in any collection, especially amongst all of the other architectural builds that you might have in your collection. Okay, now from Metal Earth, let's go over to Piececool real quickly. And Piececool is an interesting website because to me, it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what is new here, because they list a lot of models in their new arrivals page that kind of have been around for a while. So looking at this one here, you can see that they have released a couple of new kits here, including the Sydney Opera House there. The Sydney Opera House is known for being a difficult model with its roofing, but with this particular kit, it's done with both a white and gold. So that looks really cool to me, and I think it did a really good job modeling all the little bits of detail on there. Now, another one I want to take a look at here real quickly is the Titanic, because if you know, I'm a huge fan of the Titanic, visited multiple times, had dinner there as well. Almost went down with it. That was an interesting time, more than once too. Yeah, we should really stop going back to those kind of locations, but it's really, though, the best place to get clam chowder. Ah, there we go. The Titanic here looks amazing. Now, if you remember, our Titanic actually was kind of dull in comparison to this one. This one definitely has a lot more shine to it and a lot more interesting detail to it. Looking at it real quickly, to me, it almost has a cartoonish look to it in a weird way. And I think it's that brown color there that kind of gives it that effect, but I could be wrong. But overall, this model does look very busy, to be honest. There's a lot of rigging that goes up here with the strings, and I'm sure it's more historically accurate than some of the other ones that we've seen here. But just with everything that's kind of put onto this model, it looks very clustered and kind of messy in some ways as well. But I do like the finish of this build. I like how shiny it is, and I do want to get my hands on it so I can do a direct comparison between the Metal Earth one, the Piececool one, and the MU one. I think that'd be very interesting to see all of those together. Now, going back into our Titanic page here, you can see that it's 4 long sheets of detail. So we know this is going to be a little bit of a bigger model, and at $24.99, that's actually a really good deal. We can also see that it's about moderate difficulty. And overall, when this model is said and done, we're looking at a assembly length of 25.5, a width of 3.8, and a height of 12.6 centimeters. So this is actually a really decently sized model, and one, again, that I do want to get to be able to compare all of these together. Now, going from Piececool here, let's jump over to Metal Time, where they have some interesting models that are kind of slowly starting to leak out and kind of almost tease us for their upcoming campaign. Now, I've gone ahead and subscribed to this campaign, so as soon as it releases, I'm going to have the information for you, and I'm going to be able to post all the cool kits. And for a long time, Metal Time has been talking about releasing some interesting kits that have some really unique movements in them, including this really awesome spaceship here. The Nebula Scout here actually comes with a couple of different features. It allows you to be able to take it off its base. It has a really cool looking aesthetic to it, and it as well has some remote controlled LEDs, which I'm interested to see how they've actually implemented this into the model. Now, there's also some rumors out there that they've been actually looking at RC models and some drones and stuff, but we're waiting to see if these are actually going to be anywhere near this campaign or if that's just still all rumors. But regardless, I'm super interested to see these models come out, because to me it shows an evolution inside of Metal Time that I'm really excited to see. The other models we have here are Leopard 2 Tank and Meet the Sun Chaser. The Sun Chaser has actually been a model they've advertised for a little while here, and I'm kind of interested to see how it's back in this campaign. I thought it was actually going to be in the previous one, and it wasn't. They now have it in this one here. And with the dragon there, it looks pretty cool. I think that they could have done a little bit more detail with that dragon, but overall, I do think that model looks pretty nice. And I'll be interested to see how it looks in the campaign when we get a closer look and see what it actually does. All of these models right now are really just speculative because we only know what they've released in this news category of their website. So I will have my eyes tuned in on this campaign, and as soon as we see more, I will let you all know. From Metal Time, let's head over to MU, and MU has a rubber band gun that I have never seen before. Now, just like Piececool, MU can sometimes be a little bit hard to track in terms of their new releases. You have to kind of do some internet sleuthing, and in this particular case, I'm using Amazon. This one here is the MU wooden puzzle for adults. It's a rubber band gun, which looks really interesting. I mean, to me, it looks like it's just basically a wooden rubber band gun with some silver and possibly brass details embedded into it. Which looks pretty cool. I mean, I love how the magazine there has that little bit of detail, but to me, this is more photo etching than anything else. So all those people out there that have been comparing 3D metal models to photo etching, I mean, you're kind of getting the idea right here. And I think that when you add these little bits of metal highlights to these wooden models, it really does make them pop. So for MU to be able to be the first guys to release this, I mean, it really just shows that MU is one of the leaders in 3D metal model companies. These guys here have released some really interesting innovations into the hobby, and they continue to do it with this particular model here. I'm interested to see how these work. Let's take a look at the video together. So as you saw there, you actually get a red and blue handgun and a gold deagle if you choose to get that one. Both of these are kind of in the $40 range with the shipping and handling that you have to pay on top of the actual model here. So when you see $28, you gotta put the extra bit of taxes in there. It's probably around 40 bucks when all is said and done. Now let's go back here and take a look at some of their other models and their kits here. Taking a look at the one just below the Desert Eagle, we get a really cool Bluetooth speaker holder. And it's in the theme of Alice in Wonderland. If you know anything about MU models, they're typically highly detailed in this kind of stuff. They have all different kinds of really awesome kits that have a whole bunch of detail that you don't typically see with 3D metal models. And this is why I said earlier, they're kind of the leaders in innovation when it comes to these kits. And I'm really excited to see what MU is going to be releasing not only the rest of this year, but also next year as well. Because if it's anything like these guys have been releasing lately, we're going to see some cool stuff next year, guys. Now from MU, let's head over to our friends at the Moyo Store, which they have a whole lot of really cool Halloween models for us to be able to build. And if you know anything about the Moyo Store, you know that they love their holidays and they love releasing theme builds around this particular time. Last year, they released some really cool Halloween models. This year, they did not disappoint, including releasing a really awesome owl model that I talked about earlier, which we'll take a closer look at in a minute. But they also released a mask here, a bat, and a spider. These are all looking really cool, and I love the use of leather and little bits of punk detail. I love the bits of leather here and the combination of steampunk details that really give us a unique look that you don't see really anywhere else. These builds look awesome. Looking at the Japanese mask here real quickly, I mean, just take a look at this thing. It's absolutely amazing. I love the eye work here. The horns look great. The mouth is kind of chilling in a lot of ways. Even the little back area there is pretty intense too. And at $89, especially for this massive kit, that's not too bad either. This is over 950 parts, and we know that these builds take a long time to put together, but once they're complete, they truly do stand out in your collection, like so many of the ones that I have here as well. Now, going back here, let's take a look at this little bat. I think this bat is pretty awesome. $69 for this bat here, but take a closer look at this. The eyes look so cool. I love that. And again, those leather wings really do look nice as well. I love the little bits of detail on the wings. And I kind of wish there was a little bit something they could do with the base. That would be really neat. Unfortunately, it's just a base. But that being said, it's over 300 parts, and again, $69, not too bad. Let's go back up here and look at one of the more difficult models, which is the owl. This owl looks incredible. I love the pictures they took with this. You guys did a great job on the lighting on it. When I do my metal models, this is kind of the look I'm kind of trying to go for in some aspects. So I really do like this. I love that little dark background there, a little bit of smoke with the light. Looks so cool. And the model itself is just such a nice model. I love the talons there on the owl. The face looks fantastic too. Like, look at this thing. It's just absolutely amazing. The wings look great. The use of springs on there as well. The hat is so cool. I love that little hat. It even has a little propeller on top. It just makes everything so much better. This model is super cool, but I would ultimately say it could be a Halloween model. It could also be a Christmas model, depending on how you want to look at it. Either way, both of them look super neat, and I really want to add this one to my collection. I definitely need to take a look at getting myself one of these guys here. It's in total just over 700 pieces. It's a moderate difficulty, and it's taking about a 10-hour assembly time. But I think that's really depending on you and how you organize your stuff. Because if you have all the pieces just kind of loosey-goosey out, you're going to spend a lot more time than you might think just trying to get all those pieces in the right order. And that's not even assembling them all. Now, going back out here, the final thing we're going to take a look at here is this little metal matador. Now, if you're interested in these bigger kits here, these ones never disappoint either. This is definitely an interesting little kit. I can see a lot of people maybe building this to put inside of a display of some kind at their door. I love the kind of dark look. I wonder if you could almost paint this in some way and make it really stand out. The staff there looks really cool. Lots of different points on it. The face is just so well done. I love the nose there and the little gears on top. That looks really cool. And overall, I mean, I love these designs. Whoever came up with the designs on these ones, great job here. This particular one contains 2,500 parts and has a total build time of about 36 hours. 36 hours. That is a massive build. That's a massive build. And it weighs 1,250 grams. That's a heavy little build there, guys. I wonder if you know why it takes so long? It's definitely those legs and the arms. Those legs and arms have so much stuff going on there, and that main body too. There's just so much going on in this build. That's why it's so long. But either way, if you were to get this build, I'm sure that you would absolutely love it. And of course, putting it all together makes it that much better. And with that, Groovers, we're at the end of our episode. I had a really good time looking at all of these projects with you. And if you guys had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more projects like this, hit subscribe as well. So we got all kinds of really cool content coming on in the future, including some projects from this very video. And I would love to have you there. Are you interested in building any of these models? Are you kind of intimidated by some of them? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your feedback. Until next time, Groovers, keep building.